Hi everyone, Thumper here. If you've been watching the channel for a while, we've been working our way through a liberation campaign. Myself and the rest of APAF have been working through the Liberation Up the Coast campaign. That's currently what we're looking at. This will be the start of the campaign, and we have officially finished it. And I wanted to just go ahead and give some kind of closing thoughts, kind of a lessons learned almost in terms of what I would have done differently, and just the thought process when setting this all up. So this was APAF's first real use of DCS Liberation on this kind of scale, running it for weekly mission nights. So I was pretty much in charge of that, and the reason I picked this layout to begin with was that I really liked the idea of us just kind of starting in the southeast here and working our way up. You know, it's mostly a straight line. We don't have a lot of directions we have to be concerned with for a smaller squadron such as ours, where we have kind of attendance that is hit or miss some of the time. So originally I really liked this campaign just for that, moving up and doing that. Now, immediately we encountered an issue upon right off the rip. This campaign has a problem with it. It is not set up properly. So resource buildings such as these, like fuel depots and comms towers, war production, these buildings, this campaign isn't set up right. So when you bomb these buildings in the game, they will not actually register as destroyed on the liberation side of things. So right away, that was super annoying, super frustrating, because it took away one of the main things I wanted to incorporate, which was, bombing strategic targets. So that is a major problem with this campaign. And word to the wise, if you're thinking about doing this campaign, that is something you're just going to have to work around. You really can't bomb strategic targets like these oil derricks and stuff. It's just, there's no point. They won't register on the liberation end of things. So annoying, but workable, yes. We found that working our way up was a bit of a struggle. Right out of the gate, I had pumped up the red resources, so their opening money, their opening balance was pretty high. And that was a mistake, because they immediately pushed in on us pretty hard. And even at one point, they captured this FARP. But we did manage to push them back and reverse the momentum after a couple of turns. But other than that, I mean, the campaign went pretty smoothly. It just took a long time, a lot of effort. We mainly focused on just pushing up these three frontline air bases. And then once we captured Sochi, we actually just moved pretty much all of our forces to Sochi. And I kept just like strategic bombers and such back in this area. And finally, the other thing that we learned while doing this was that once you have bombed all of the runways, if you knock out all of the runways simultaneously or capture all of the runways simultaneously, it's I get why they do this, but the game pretty much just ends. Liberation registers as a victory. You've won the game. So once we got back here, we bombed Galenzik, Novo, I'm just going to call that, and Anapa. So we bombed those right in order, and the game registered as over. And there was still some ground targets that we wanted to kind of clear out and just really have kind of a cleaner end to our campaign. But we learned this about Liberation, that if the game registers as a victory, it is going to cause you all kinds of issues. It got very buggy for us, and it made it so I couldn't schedule flights on the things that I wanted to, and I basically kind of had to like redo the last turn and have us bomb all of these air defenses and such around Anapa. Not a huge issue, workable, but just something to think about in case you are running or thinking about running this campaign. Now, I am running this on my own dedicated server, and the server that I run has a lot of horsepower. So you need to keep that in mind, that I had a relatively easy time running it, but even so, we probably could have benefited from me upping the culling settings. I was able to get away without using culling throughout this campaign, but if you've got a server with a little bit less power, or generally just a lot of people with, you know, lower end machines, you're definitely going to want to up the culling. Now, the other thing I did is I use a custom Red 4 faction, which I'm thinking at some point I might do a how to make custom factions video. But so let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see. But I took out carriers for the Red Forces just because attacking carrier strike groups within DCS, within the confines of DCS, is really, really difficult. And for this campaign, I was mostly just making all of the flights human flights. I would have cap coverage that was AI, but AI is so unreliable in DCS. So sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're really bad. So I would just have them cover cap, backline, and then like any flights that were going out and striking targets was us, which is why it took kind of a much longer time than it probably should have. But regardless, we got it done. And it was really fun. And now next we are looking into going to Sinai map. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be putting up a campaign layout, and we'll talk about the decisions that went into that. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next one.